Yo, check it. Welcome back to another podcast episode. I know it's been a while. It's been months. The last episode was...
What was the date? It was last year for sure.
It was last year, around October, I think.
Okay.
September, October.
Dang, it was that long ago?
Yeah. So
Holy
it's been half a year. Last episode was episode 47. Now this is episode 48 and the first episode in the new studio.
New studio, Masterpiece Studio. P-E-A-C-E.
With a piece, like this piece.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a new co-host. I got Felicia in the house. She was in the last episode.
I was. I did such a great job that
I have to, bring her back in.
I'm going to let her be a co-host. So,
Because Christian actually is moving to another state, so he won't be able to do the podcast anymore.
Really?
Yeah, he's moving to LA, well, around that area.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, he's moving next month, so he won't be able to do the podcast. Maybe if you do like a
you got to do like a
Zoom one probably.
Gotta, set it up when he's like all settled and stuff. Tell us about his life out there.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah, we'll do that. So good luck, Christian, if you're listening to this podcast.
Good luck, Christian. I'm not replacing you.
You'll always be my number one.
You'll always be his number one.
But anyways, I guess this is just gonna be an update episode on what's happening. I think kind of like a reintroduction, right, to your podcast, because there's been such, I guess, a long gap. And I'm hoping that we'll have a bigger audience now that we're... Can you raise your mic just a little bit?
Bringing it in...
Is it...
How do I do it? Oh, this way.
Technical difficulties. Sorry, guys.
How do I do it?
Here, I got it.
JERiCK. Oh, there you go. It needs to be closer to my mouth.
Yeah, it just needs to be pointing in your direction.
Hello?
Should be good.
That far away?
Yeah, should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, anyways.
All right.
Let's get back to business.
We're not cutting that out.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it.
That was a raw moment.
Where were we at?
Oh, reintroduction to your podcast. And then I was saying that hopefully doing it in the studio and maybe bringing our followers will kind of give you a whole new following, possibly.
Yeah, and then we can actually invite guests now because it's not in my bedroom anymore. We've upgraded into an actual studio place.
A new studio space, bigger space. We can have more chairs. I think it'll be good, so we'll start lining some guests up. What we're going to talk about, I don't know. We'll wing it. I mean, it won't be winged completely, but
it's somewhat planned. We have some bullet points on what we want to talk about, but for the most part, it's mostly going to be, what is it, like mindfulness?
I think mindfulness,
life,
life.
Anything that gives you good vibes, I guess.
Good vibes, something definitely relatable.
Yeah. So cheers. Hopefully you guys enjoy the new podcast. It's going to be more consistent now since we have an actual space. And yeah, we'll try to do weekly episodes for you guys. Weekly.
Like, I don't know what to do. Do I look at the camera? Do I look at you?
Yeah, you look at the audience.
Okay.
But anyways, update.
You first. Because this is your podcast, so you got to update your life.
So,
you have a lot going on.
Actually, I don't know if you guys are following me on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I recently released an album, a music album.
No biggie. Everyone does it. Everyone.
Yeah, it's no big deal. You know, everybody does it. that's why I haven't really been doing the podcast, because I just wanted to focus on that. I've been working on that in the last 4 months. Recently released it last week. So, yeah, please check it out. Just look up my name, JERiCK Image. It's all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, whatever.
Pandora?
Yeah. And then there's other things too that I've never heard of, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Can you do those cool things where you're like, I'll link it here, and then you point, and then it's like the link?
I could do that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be lazy and not do it. So
He's gonna do it because we did it. We committed.
Yeah. So I released my new album. That was a process.
How long? How long of a process?
Like 4 months, or just
from start to finish?
Yeah, it was about 4 months. It was very. I would have to say it just came out of nowhere. I was doing a lot of covers before that. During the pandemic, I was doing a lot of, like, singing covers from other artists. But then one of my friends decided to come over one day. He told me that I should probably write my own songs. And then I told him, like, why? I don't know how to write songs. And then he was like, dude, like this, because I made a beat, and then he was like, oh yeah, this is a really cool beat. Like we should make a song. Like I'll help you. And I was like, you know what? I've never written a song before, so I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And then we made that song, and then after I released that song, that was like in November last year. I decided, you know what?
November's when you released your first song?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was November. I think it was like maybe end of November. I don't remember. And then after that, because like that process, I just really enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always loved music, but it's different when you're actually like making a song.
Right.
Because like you're creating something like from nothing to something, and it's kind of like I don't know. A lot of artists call it like, oh, their baby. Every song is their baby.
Right.
Like they create, and like it kind of felt like it, because like obviously you want it to be good, and you always like aim for like, oh, I want it to be the hit, the hit
Right.
song.
This is it.
Yeah, this is gonna be the hit song, and then that's it. My life's gonna change. And when I released that first song, nothing happened. I mean, a few people listened to it, and they liked it, but I was like, damn, I thought that was gonna be it. I was like, just one hit wonder. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Like, I really enjoyed it. I probably should make an EP. I was like,
Right.
Make a few songs. Because my friend told me like, oh yeah, like, just test out the waters, like, just make a couple songs, so like, to introduce yourself in the world, I guess. And then after making 2 to 3 songs, I was like, I talked to your husband.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Anthony, he was like, because I let him listen to some of the beats, like, dude, because I do a lot of photography and videos, if you've been following me for a while. He was like, fuck everything else that you're doing, and just do music. I was like, that really resonated a lot to me too.
And mind you, my husband Anthony, I'm just gonna say Anthony. He's my husband, okay? But Anthony loves music. Like, he absolutely loves music a lot. So he gets very critical about the music that he listens to. So for him to say that he really liked your music, I was like, oh, damn, I guess it's good. Because he likes it, and not that he doesn't like a lot of music, because he's very diverse, like in the type of genres he'll listen to. Like, it's wild. You'd be like, you listen to that? And he does. But, I mean, for him to positively speak about what he listened to, I think he was very impressed.
Yeah. Because like, backstory too. I was actually meditating that morning. It was weird because like I met up with him that night, and then the morning that day, I was like asking the universe, like, is this the right path for me? You know, I was kind of meditating about it and thinking about it, because, you know, like, trying to do music is out there, and like, because everybody is kind of waiting on you to fail, I guess, because like not a lot of people can make it, you know.
Right.
And I don't think people are waiting for you to fail, but it's more of like they don't expect you to succeed.
Because it's almost like
it's impossible.
So few. It's like such a small group when you think about it that really gain that popularity. Yeah. Or so we think. Who knows?
So I was asking the universe, like, give me a sign. Like, am I in the right path? Like, should I follow this? And then that night, that was the sign. He was like, fuck everything else you're doing and just do music. I was like, all right.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Like the Shia LaBeouf, like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly like that too.
Yeah. And then after that night, I decided, you know what? Instead of doing an EP, I'm just going to go for the full album. And then I looked it up. What's the minimum of an album? They said like 7 or 8. So I was like, all right, I'll do the bare minimum, the 8 songs album. So, yeah, a few months later, album's out.
What's the title of the album?
It's called Moving On.
Moving On.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy quite a few songs. One of the songs, I think it was Late Night. It might have been Late Night.
Yeah.
I just listened to it on repeat. It's so catchy.
I mean, it's like, good when people listen to it on repeat, you know? But yeah, so if you guys are listening to it right now, please check out my music. I'm just going to do shameless plug because why not?
Yeah. Dude, why not? Like, promote yourself. Like, that's how people survive these days.
Yeah, because, like, normally
And it's so funny, though, because we shouldn't feel bad for self-promotion. Yeah. Right? Like, there shouldn't be a negative connotation to being like, oh, you're talking about yourself. Like, dude, because honestly, be proud.
I do feel guilty about that, too. It's because, like, because somebody pointed it out to me, too. Like, I like to downplay a lot of anything that I do.
Right. Like, your accomplishments.
Yeah, like, anything I accomplish, I just kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, everybody can do it. But then, like, one of my friends, she just told me, like, why are you downplaying yours? Like, you know, you're doing well. Like, you done photos. Like, all your photos are good. Like, videos and all that stuff. Like, everything that I've done, they're kind of like, you should be proud of it instead of, like, downplaying. I don't know.
That's your career now.
Yeah.
Like, you make your living off of doing
all those things.
You're free from the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people now in the creative scene that I know of that have that freedom, which is amazing because that's the life I'm trying to get to.
You'll be next.
But you legit, I mean, when you told me the other day it was your 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, 2 year. Like,
April
1st was my 2 years.
Anybody, JERiCK, but yourself for 2 years.
Yeah, I survived. And I think, like, everybody says, like, the first year is the toughest, but then after that, once you figure out the first year, you'll figure it out, you know?
It's kind of like, it's survival mode, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've made that commitment, you've made that decision, like, this is my career, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to work for myself. So then you have no choice but to build that life for yourself.
Yeah, because honestly, like, I really do enjoy the freedom of it. Yeah. Because, like, for me, like, I didn't necessarily do it for, like, the money. I mean, obviously money's good, but for me, like, I wanted to do something that I really enjoy. And then my past job, I didn't really enjoy it too much. And then it was getting to a point that I was, like, really stressed about it. Like, coming into work, even though it was just, like, for a few hours.
Right.
I just hated it. And
it's rough.
Yeah, so I got rid of that. 2 years later, still doing it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh, yeah, downplaying my accomplishments. I don't know where that insecurity is coming from, honestly. Is it because, like, we're taught, or at least I was, maybe to, like, don't be so
vain, or
don't brag, I guess.
Gloat, like, I don't know. Like, don't talk about your side. I don't know.
Do you like?
Well, no.
Do you like to downplay your, or do you like, fuck yeah, I did this? You
no,
know?
I'm definitely not that. I think, which is why nobody knows I do anything.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever talk about it. But it's also hard because you're right. There is this, I think, this negativity that surrounds somebody who constantly points in their direction, because we might see it as, oh yeah, like they're full of themselves, or they're bragging, or they think they're the best, and that's fine, but
because like I think it's like we're, at least internally, like we're a little bit insecure on what other people are thinking.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
But what I've learned recently is like nobody really gives a shit.
It's true.
Like, I mean, like they're watching you, they know what you're doing, but like at the end of the day, everybody's gotta take care of themselves, you know.
No, it's true, because even a person from the outside looking in, I'm not that critical of other people. Like I'm not sitting there scrolling and I'm like judging them, like, oh, there they are talking about themselves again.
And then I think that could be like speaking like to you as a person too, like, because like there are some sad people out there that would like hate everything, you know.
Oh, absolutely. That's inevitable.
So like if you're happy or like satisfied with your life, like you're not gonna be out there like, oh, this guy again, like posting whatever, you know, or like doing this and doing that. Like for regular people, I don't think they necessarily care or at least hate on other people, you know.
And it should be a sense of support, right? Like when I look at you promoting your stuff, my first thought shouldn't be like, oh, here he goes again. Here's JERiCK posting his shit. Like, no, it's like I should expect that from you as a person who is self-employed, or even our business, right? The studio, or my husband, like Neon Babylon, or even my plants. Like, we shouldn't feel ashamed of putting ourselves out there or making ourselves known, because in reality, how else are we gonna be successful?
Exactly.
Like we have to talk about it,
because like you have to be like, especially if you're like self-employed or just trying to do something, you gotta be your own like number one like cheerleader, you know,
because you don't know who you can count on in the beginning. It's not necessarily the loneliest road, but you don't know who's going to support you. You don't know who are your true fans or your true followers, who's completely genuine in the work that you do. So it's true. Like you have to believe in yourself so much.
Yeah.
You know, that you're willing to talk about it and be proud. And
because honestly, it's like, even like I just started this journey, it does feel like, I can honestly say it does feel a little bit lonely. It's because like, obviously, I don't get to see a lot of people, and like part of that is like the pandemic and all that. But like, when you're trying to achieve like something big, I guess, like it's so hard to, like, I don't want to say like teamwork doesn't, like, it's not part of it, but like sometimes you're trying to achieve something, like not everybody's trying to do that, you know.
Right. Not everyone will understand.
Yeah, and then it's like, I mean, I don't want to say that I don't have a lot of supporters, because I do. Like, I have a lot of good friends, and then like my family, friends, all that. But yeah, it gets a little lonely, honestly. And I just started too, so like I can only imagine like the people that actually like made it up there. I mean, obviously they got fans, but like, shit, man. Like,
yeah, and I think when you do make it to that level of popularity, then you start to question who's being genuine, like as far as who your inner circle is, right? Especially if they're new coming. But I think that's why it's good to kind of have your connections now, because we're with you right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so when you make it, just don't leave us behind. Don't forget
I got you guys. I got you guys.
Give me the crowd. You know?
Honestly, like, I told myself this too. Before I even started the album, I was like, I really want to do this right. Not in terms of like making it, but like every step of the way, I want to do the right thing, you know?
Like the good, conscious decision.
The good, I want to make good decisions about who I surround myself with, who I collab with. Because I don't care how talented they are. If I can't vibe with them, that's a big no-no for me. Because I don't want to, like, even if they give me a shit ton of money, I'm like, dude, I can't work with you. Like, I wanted, like...
You want to be true.
Yeah, from day one, like, I really wanted to be, like, firm on that. To, like, I only want to work with people that I can vibe with. Right. And, because, like, especially in the music industry or entertainment industry, it's, like, it gets a little, jaded and, like, people are just, you know, we've heard stories, like the Hollywood stories and all that stuff. Like documentaries. Yeah, you guys seen all the crazy documentaries out there. Like, I don't want to go on that route. So, like, from day one, I just wanted it to be like every step that is the right thing for me to do.
I think it's just important to keep a good group that will keep you grounded. In a sense. And I think those are the people that are important. Like, I've always, and I talked about this with Anthony, I said, no one is willing to stand by the side of, like, an underdog, almost. It's like everybody wants to be with somebody who's top tier, or where you make all that money, you're already on that level. But it's kind of like the people who are just coming up, like, we're the ones who need that support.
Yeah, and like, sadly, we don't get that much support until you get to a point where, like,
a certain level, and it's like, that's the validation. So now I know that you're legit.
Yeah,
I can follow you, and it's like, no. Like, I wanted you 2 years ago when, you know, we're just trying to get stuff off the ground. And a little bit too, that's how I felt about the studio. I was like, all the people that stuck with us for this entire year, I am so grateful for, because you've watched us go through all the baby steps, the redos, the mistakes or the failures. Like, you've seen it, you've been a part of it, and then now we're growing together. And I think maybe that's where a little bit of, not my guilt, but kind of like, I always have this mindset where I want to be humble every step of the way, no matter how great we become. I always want to maintain that mindset, and I always want to take everybody with me. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, I can't go on to that next level unless I have these people always by my side, which I understand to a certain degree that won't always be the case, because people are going to naturally fall off, right? That's just progression and growth. But it's like, I want to take care of everybody. Like, when we talk about community, especially for the studio, I'm like, everyone has to win, you know? So what can we do to have everybody eat from the same plate or the same table, so to speak?
So enough about me. Let's talk about about you.
That's a horrible transition. We're still talking about you, JERiCK.
No, all right, it's okay. We'll come back to that.
Like, I just made an album, and
yeah, it's not that big of a deal, you know? Like, I think that, honestly, I do that a lot. I think I just kind of like to deflect, but I've learned recently that I shouldn't do that, because, you know, like...
It's like, be humble, but be confident.
Yeah.
But it's like, if anyone who watches this has found that balance, or is somewhat understanding of what we're talking about, and you have suggestions on how to cope with that type of mentality, I mean, let us know, because it really is a struggle. Yeah. Which I think why my social media game is so poor.
And I think it's because, like, I'm so not used to being in the spotlight, I guess. Yeah. Because I was always kind of like, even, you know, high school, like growing up, I was always kind of like the guy that kind of just like blend in the crowd.
So
didn't get noticed.
Some backstory here. JERiCK and I have known each other since, I don't know the year, but it had to have been, 8th
yeah, because that's when I moved here from the Philippines.
Least, how many years is that? At least 16 years, right?
20.
20 years since
I moved here when I was 12.
Oh shoot. That long?
Did I move here when I was 12?
Did I know you when you were 12? I don't know, guys, but all I'm saying is we've known each other for a long time. So I've seen JERiCK come up through the years.
Tell him about the glove, Felicia.
Oh, about the glow up? No, there was definitely a glow up because I was like, I came back and I was like, okay, JERiCK. I mean, you still got kind of the spikes, but it's a cooler spike look. He used to have like the pointy spikes and wear like super baggy clothes. And he was like,
everybody did.
Super thin. No,
That's how everybody looked in high school.
You're right. But we've known each other for a long
time. Yeah.
We have some history. So it's actually kind of cool, though, that we're here at this point because I don't think I would have ever guessed either of us would have been in this position.
Yeah, because honestly, we didn't talk for like a long time. After high school,
where I stopped having friends for whatever reason.
Yeah, like I didn't talk to you until you came back from Vegas.
Dang, yeah.
I mean, like, maybe after high school a little bit, but then, like, after that, like...
I think it was my baby shower.
Yeah. Like, I didn't talk to you for, like, at least, like, 5 to 6 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
A lot happens in that time.
And then now, we hang out a lot.
I know. And now he's a part of the studio, so, you know.
Yeah. But tell us more about the studio. Masterpiece.
So, Masterpiece Studio is essentially a business child of myself and my husband, Anthony. Originally, he kind of had this idea, I want to say when we were in Vegas, because he started Neon Babylon. And Neon Babylon is his clothing brand that I definitely support. He likes to say we a lot, and I appreciate that. But as far as like the ideas that he has for his clothing, that is definitely all him. That's his brainchild. And I'm very supportive, I'd like to think. But when we moved back here, he's wanted to have almost like a storefront because he used to own a store out in Vegas called Thoroughbreds. And when he came back here, I think he missed that feeling. Like he got back into the clothing, he got back into designing, and he really wanted to have another crack at it and maybe have a little bit more success, because when they first had it, very, very young, you know what I mean? So with that younger mentality, there's a lot of like growing and mistakes and whatnot. But I think he definitely learned a lot along with his best friend, Sheldon. But once we came back after having our son, Keelan, who was our biggest motivation, he wanted to have a store. And there was a couple of places that he was looking at and they got swooped up, but we came across the Arlington Towers commercial side, which we didn't know was a thing because there's like the actual residential area.
Oh yeah, there's an apartment upstairs, right?
But Arlington Towers also has a commercial side. He looked at some office spaces. He sent me a video and he's like, I think this is it. And the studio that we got was not the studio that we originally wanted. We wanted a different space. But we had to go with that one. And honestly, it was probably the best choice.
And when was this again?
That was in, we officially opened in June. So I want to say around January of
last year,
2019. Because we had that space for a long time.
Yeah, you guys did.
We did anything. But it was such a good opportunity where you kind of just knew that if we don't take this spot now, we're never going to have this chance again. It was a great price. It was downtown, which is where we wanted to be.
And we also live in Reno.
Yes, we live in Reno.
As you know, Reno is really starting to get really expensive.
Very expensive, yes.
Like space-wise, you know. But
I mean, anybody who watches this that is from Reno and has lived here for a long time or is born and raised like I am, I'm used to paying rent prices that are like $600,
yeah,
maybe like close to $1,000 for a couple.
Yeah,
bedrooms.
like 10 years ago, it was like around like $900, $1,000, like for a good apartment too.
For a good apartment, multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, and we come back and we're damn near paying over $2,000 for a spot, and I'm like, this is bizarre. But that's besides the point. So we grabbed this space back in 2019, and we honestly just sat on it. We had an idea. He had a vision. He wanted it to be retail, but he wanted it to be something more.
Did you guys feel bad when you guys were in the space and like, obviously you guys had renovations to do, but for that long, paying the rent and not opening?
Well, it wasn't an issue until the pandemic hit. Because then my husband got furloughed. I went to a 6-day schedule, which still blows my mind. But money was tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had to make a decision. And he was ready to give up the space. He's like, we can't afford this anymore. And I was like, no. I'm like, and we kind of got into an argument about it too. I kind of was really pissed off. I was like, in my mind, I was like, how dare you give up on this dream?
Yeah.
Because he talked about it all the time. I knew how important it was to him. And I was like, shame on you for wanting to give up this spot. And so basically, right as things shut down here in Reno, which is around March, we're like, this is go time. Because he had the time to dedicate himself to the studio.
So you guys had the whole... So you had the studio for a year without even opening
doing anything. Yeah. Because I think our lease came up. It's supposed to be August this year of 2021, but then we moved. So that means August 2019. That's when we grabbed it.
Okay, so like half a year.
I said January, but I meant August. But we didn't start acting on it until March of 2020 when things shut down. And, those memes come out and it's like, well, now you're going to know who's going to make it or break it, right? You're either going to be the same person at the end
honestly,
of it,
a lot of people
be something better.
Yeah.
And we kind of didn't have a choice. I'm like, we have all this time now, kind of. Like, he had a little bit more time. I had very small spurts of time. And mind you, we're still raising our son, who at the time was 2 years old, 1 or 2. So it's kind of like his prime growing space. But we had to do it. So we spent about 2 months nonstop working almost every day. I'd work my shift. I'd get off. We'd go to the studio. We had many nights where we watched the sunrise from that studio. Thank you to my mom and my dad and my sister for spending all that time babysitting because we had to get this space done. And so finally we had like our grand opening in June. But to be honest, we didn't have a plan for anything. And it just kind of unfolded naturally. It's like the right things happened at the right time. And so the plan for the space originally was to be like a small space to house retail. We also wanted the space to be used as opportunities for other local artists or designers who maybe wanted a space to do a pop-up. Because when Anthony wants to do a pop-up or when he envisions using someone else's space, his mind is like, oh, I want to transform the environment. I want to make it an experience.
Yeah.
And when he wanted to do that at another place, it was kind of shot down. And it was like, the only way that we can do this is if we do something on our own. Mm-hmm. But then we also wanted to return that and allow other people to do the same. If you want to come over here and curate the space and make it your own, like, you have the freedom to do that. Minus some pictures that were kind of permanently up on the wall. But it turned into a lot. Like, it was just like a networking hub.
So it's like, it's not what you imagined, huh?
It wasn't what we imagined, but it was what we needed. Mm-hmm. Because then also the photography portion took on its own life. Thanks to one of the photographers that first known about the studio, Mickey, who's not in town. I think he lives in Texas now. Mm-hmm. But he kind of started that flow. So now we have the retail. We have this creative space where people are coming together. And networking, that was the biggest thing. We started meeting so many people.
There was a lot of, when you guys opened up, there was a lot of support. There was
a lot of support. And amidst the pandemic, to me, that said a lot because
people were actually going, checking out the space.
Still checking it out, of course, we were cautious, but the support from the community really helped us, even, as a family-owned business, just trying to survive. You have no idea how
especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, how tight things were, but somehow that basically supplemented what Anthony lost, and that was his regular, 9 to 5, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So that's why when we talk about the community and we always say thanks and appreciate that, like we're completely honest and genuine when we mean it, because without that support of the community, our friends, our family, like I don't think we would have been able to do what we're trying to do right now. And so many people kind of gave us all these like missing puzzle pieces, you know, like again, the photography, meeting new people, having all these connections, meeting important people that knew other people that could help us with the community.
Yeah, I mean, everything is like networking, you know,
Yeah.
like
because even like there's, you know, like Caesar, we started talking with him, more so Anthony started talking with him, but he knows a lot of people and he introduced us to like Moberly, for instance. And I haven't really had a conversation with him, but Anthony has. And it's like the knowledge that all these people hold and kind of the respect they have in the community has kind of helped us gain that respect as well, right? So I think the first few months of us being open, because mind you, we started in June. We're approaching June now, so almost in that year, it was really just kind of creating that foundation.
Yeah.
You know, who is Masterpiece Studio? Who is Neon Babylon? What the heck do they want to do in our city? You know what I mean? But what I'm hoping is this time around, now it'll be a shared spotlight because of my work schedule and because of how little time I had to dedicate myself to the studio. I don't think a lot of people knew.
You wanna clear that up, Felicia?
So when you guys message Masterpiece Studio, a lot of the times I get a lot of messages that think that I'm a guy. So I get those, hey man, hey bro. Ugh.
What's up, bro?
And I'm like, dude, I am not, and I don't correct it because I'm like, whatever. But me, you're talking to me, Felicia.
She's
okay?
the one running
I'm
the
running
Masterpiece
Studio.
Instagram page.
I'm
so
the Instagram page, you know, a lot of the curating. And I'm only okay saying this is because my husband will always talk about it. He'll be like, no, Felicia curated this. So I do that, like the design,
and I think it's because like you guys didn't really show your face a lot, like until like recently.
We're not from this era of constant selfie limelight. You know what I mean? And that's hard to do. I mean, God, we're freaking over 30. Okay, so to kind of have to. I mean, I'm used to.
Okay, boomer.
Does anybody know about Friendster and Zanga and MySpace? Like that is my generation. That's what I'm used to. There wasn't no live streams or oh my God.
But you know, we all gotta learn, Felicia, to put ourselves in the right? You know.
But that's just, again, that's more of your energy going into something just to survive as a small business, right? To get yourself out there. It's like you're constantly having to evolve and learn new things just to get a little bit of following or acceptance.
Because honestly, like you guys should be proud though, because like you guys opened in the middle of the pandemic, and you know a lot of businesses closed down because they couldn't survive.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, like after a year later, you guys are still here. You know,
we're still here, and
we're actually in a bigger space now.
A bigger space. We had another.
So you upgraded.
Yeah.
In the pandemic, guys.
In the pandemic, we upgraded. But again, it's just, you know, blessings and opportunities. But I think this time around, we really want to focus on that business aspect, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we did was for love.
Yeah.
We didn't make a ton of money off of Masterpiece Studio when we first opened. Close to none, you know what I mean? But nobody really knows that, and I don't care to share that because, not that it's none of anybody's business, but I'm like, I don't want anybody's sympathy. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, it's like, I don't know, I've been thinking, there's a lot of thoughts in my mind lately, but like, I feel like that's like kind of like a good thing to share that kind of stuff though. Like when you share your struggles instead of just like, oh, I'm doing just fine.
Yeah.
It's like when people like see it, it's like, okay, I mean like it's cool that you're doing fine, but then like I feel like you'll help a lot more people when you're sharing like the struggles though, because like everybody can relate, you know, especially like maybe you haven't opened your business or you haven't done anything yet, but like if you're thinking about doing something, because a lot of people think it's easy, and it's not.
It's not.
At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I might not have a regular job for the last 2 years. That sounds very like, oh, that's cool. Like you haven't worked for anybody, but then at the same time, like there were some days, especially the first year, I was like, how am I gonna pay my bills next month?
Right.
You know, there's a lot of stress. And like I never shared that. Like I never said anything because like I didn't want to be like, because I didn't want to be seen as like, oh, this guy's struggling. Because I was insecure about that too.
Artist,
you know, I was insecure about that, but at the same time, it's like everybody goes through it. You know, especially like if you're just starting up, it's very important that you should know. Like I don't want you to give up on your dreams, but at the same time,
be prepared.
Be prepared that
face the challenges.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it sucks, but like it's definitely going to be difficult.
You're going to have your downs. Yeah. Like you really are. There's going to be moments when you 100% second guess everything that you've decided on. Mm-hmm. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to cry. You know what I mean? But the alternative to that is you're so confident and you believe in your vision so much that that's enough to kind of keep your one step ahead.
Yeah, and that's part of being like your number one cheerleader, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to find that motivation. You have to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but don't ignore everything that's happening in your present either.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it is self-taught. You know, no one can tell us how to do this, how to make it better. And some people may have that advantage. You might know somebody who's doing something similar, but we're literally just trying to do it. And whether it's wrong or right, I think
I feel like there's really there's no one way to do it, you know.
There's no one road to success.
Yeah. Everybody does it differently. You're going to have your own struggles. You're going to have your own success, you know. Maybe like, I mean, some people get lucky, you know, like they
the right
person, or like their first song is like the one that blows them up, and like life changes after that. And then, or it could be your business, like all of a sudden, like I don't know what happens, it just like takes off. Or it could take years, who knows. But like this path, I feel like it's not for everybody.
Yes. It's not for everybody. And you'll find out fairly soon if you try to venture into that world. I think you'll know if it's something that you're willing to continue for years and years.
Yeah, because like if it feels good to you, like if you're happy doing it, then it's definitely for you. Even though you're struggling, like you just got to keep that in mind. Like if that's like the one thing, whatever it is, like it doesn't matter what it is. If it makes you happy or enjoy the process, even though you haven't made it, then it's definitely for you. You just gotta be patient, and you know, it takes time.
It's very true, and I can honestly speak to that also because when I lived in Vegas, my husband and I randomly started a meal prep company.
Oh yeah, it's pretty successful, huh?
And it was extremely successful, almost like literally one of those overnight. Like we made really good money, really good money. But I hated doing it. Like after a few months, I was like, "Oh, this is torture." Like I would be crying. It just took so much energy from me, and I realized I was like, "Oh, this is not my passion." Like I was self-employed. I didn't have to work for a couple years. We were making really good money. We can pay our bills, but I was miserable doing it. And so I finally realized, I was like, dude, how stupid is it to be self-employed but still hate what you're doing? And so I had to finally eat my own ego and like put my pride away and be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. And for a lot of our clients, it was like, what? Like this was all of a sudden. I had a couple of employees and they're like, man, this is really sudden. But it took so long for me to own up to it, but I was so happy.
Once you let go of it?
Once I let go of it.
Yeah.
And then this time around, mind you, I'm still working. When I first started the studio, I was working, 50 hours a week. When I'm working now, I still work, about 45 hours a week. And now that it's summer, a lot of things are happening during the weekend when I actually work, and I don't get a lot of sleep. But I don't care. I will knowingly stay up till 3 a.m, knowing that in an hour I have to get ready for work and go work a 14-hour shift.
Yeah.
But I don't care, because all that time that I'm exerting, not sleeping, is stuff that I'd rather be doing anyways. So in my mind, I'm like, I need to work hard now. Even though it's hard, there's moments where I'm like, gonna have a mental breakdown, guys. Don't worry about me. And then still try to be mom and still try to be a good wife and care about all the things you need to do in your home, like laundry or shit, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But I rather do that and be happy with the end result than make all this money and be miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely... Yeah, because I've been in that situation before. My last job was just it was okay for a little bit, but after year 3, it started to just go downhill from that. It wasn't even the workspace or anything. It was just I just knew that it wasn't the path for me, because that was my first full-time job right after college. And then I was oh, after college, you're supposed to just work at this one place for the next 40 years of your life retire, and then save money so you can build a house or whatever, and then retire 40 years later. But then year 3, I was no, fuck no, I ain't doing this shit. I just knew. And after I quit it, I never looked back. I'm really hoping I never have to do it again. I'm very confident that I won't, but but sometimes when shit happens, you just gotta swallow your pride a little bit. If it ever happens that I would never have to find a job again, I would, but then right. I'm awesome, so I would never have to do that.
Here he goes again, guys.
There you go. There's the humble side, and then there's this over the top side. With fuck everything else, But yeah.
So that's essentially the studio. I mean, the studio to us is a home to anybody that is creative or looking for a judgment-free support group of trying to start something, whether it's your own clothing brand, want to do music, podcasts, just want to sit down and chat. We truly want to cater ourselves to the community, which is why I think that first year we were hey, we ain't making nothing right now, but we love doing it.
But because I think you guys had a long-term goal.
Right.
You were kind of we focusing on that instead of just oh, I want to make this short-term money,
But even still, now we're starting to get more bookings, for instance, of people using the studio. And those of you that have booked, I mean, that our studio cost is $25 an hour. And
it's really cheap, guys.
I actually got a compliment yesterday, or not yesterday, but this last weekend or this past week, where they thanked us for being so affordable because, it's rough right now. Mm-hmm. Prices are sky high in Reno. Everyone's probably still recovering from some type of financial loss maybe over the last year, but there's still people that want to do things and want to create. But it's hard to find those spaces when you're trying to sell your damn kidney. Try to sell your damn kidney. Just trying to stay there.
Yeah. I think it's that thing right there.
What thing?
That. You need to spin it more.
This?
No, the other.
This one?
Yeah. I'll bring my stand next time, but it should be technical difficulties.
This is what happens when... Oh, this thing? Sorry, guys. Okay. Hopefully you could have heard me.
That's 2 strikes, Felicia. Might have to...
You might have a second guess. It's not me. It's the mic stand. Damn it. I'm sorry. Where do we get these things? I won't promote it.
Anyways, what were you saying?
Shoot, what was I saying?
Oh, the place being affordable.
Oh, yeah. Being a place that still had a good aesthetic, so to speak.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty cool in here, guys. I know you guys only seeing the corner,
but people to surround yourself with, but still be really affordable. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's very important because I think about that end, right, as a consumer. And not to say that I'm cheap, but it's like sometimes things are rough, you know, and you still want to do things and you still want to create, but you can't afford it, you know, which is why I think so many people end up doing things for themselves or setting stuff up like in their homes or whatnot. It's just because it's like I can't fork out hundreds of dollars to go rent something. And mind you, yes, in the future, once we've kind of gotten to that level, you know, there may be some situations where we do have to charge more than what we do now, you know, but I'm hoping that by that time or, you know, things will be better and we'll have such a strong following that those people will understand why we're doing what we're doing. You know what I mean? But I'm still for the community. Like I want to help the youth out. I know my husband's really passionate about that because he grew up with that creative mind, but not really having a place to go.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, how do we create that for that younger generation?
I mean, like, this is kind of like part of like giving back to the community too, like podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts and like, you know, there are some insightful messages in there. Hopefully what we talk about today or in the future podcast is insightful for you guys. There were some gems in there.
I think so.
Yeah. There's some good shit in there. Yeah.
We had no idea where we were going. We're like, we're going to wing it. It's going to be a reintroduction.
Yeah, when we first, this is the first episode in like a while, so we didn't even know what to talk about, but yeah, I think that was pretty good. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think if you don't know about Masterpiece Studio, I would appreciate if you at least checked us out. If you're local to Reno, or if you ever travel to Reno, you know, think about us in regards to having this space available to you, you know, whether it is, I mean, we do things called sessions, we do these sessions where it's all like someone had mentioned, it's kind of like a tiny desk vibe.
Yeah, it's for musicians.
But, you know, my sister went on there and she recited.
Oh, yeah, she did spoken word.
And I'm like, dang, like we should get more people to come in and do their short stories or their poems or spoken word. And I even talked to Anthony today. I was like, it would be kind of cool to do almost like live art, like someone who
it's like a
does, you know,
show,
like a quick like live art show, like, you know, a quick painting.
Oh,
you know?
like a live.
Like live art, like watching somebody do.
That'd be
art.
coll.
That'd be kind of cool.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody like aside from like those portraits that you see in the streets. They take
kind of like that. And we want to do like jams. I mean, there's so much that we want to do, because I think being in this space too kind of sparks that creativity too. You're like, oh, I can do all this shit, and that's usually what I end up doing. I'm like, oh, I can do all this shit, which is why I feel like I do a lot of different things.
But I think like those are the things that kind of like, you told me this before, like idea is just kind of like what is it, like an energy or whatever?
Yeah, it's an energy.
And then like if you don't take
this book, Big Magic, I live by it. I still need to finish it, but I've only got what I've read so far is like been so worthwhile and so kind of encouraging in a sense.
Yeah, because when you told me that, I was like, when ideas are just energies, and then if you don't take it when it's in your head, somebody else will. It's gonna go away, and then somebody else will.
Yeah, someone else is gonna take it from you. Which is why you have those moments where you're like, oh, I thought of that.
Yeah,
I thought of that, and it's like you probably did think of that.
Yeah,
but you didn't devote yourself to that particular idea, so that energy needed to be used or action taken, and so I went to somebody else. But also, I do want to put out there that, we're in a position right now in Reno where we're trying to create this new culture, right? This new vibe. And so many people will probably end up doing the same thing, but that's okay. And the other thing about that book too, it talks about like copycats or authenticity. And at the end of the day, like no idea is original. Like something started from somewhere, and then somebody else probably had that same idea, and it's okay to have 10 different things that are almost the same thing, and you can still own it as your idea and have that be okay and still have that support. And I really want to, have that be known, especially with the studio, because if you right off the bat are like, oh, that's competition, how do you grow? Like, you've immediately shut yourself off from learning something new because you're like, oh, they're doing the same shit. Back off. Like, not going to support them, not going to do this. When in reality, it's like, hey, we're kind of doing the same thing. Why don't we learn from each other?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to swallow that pill and put your ego aside, put your pride aside, and be like, bro, we're all trying to make it. We're all trying to make it.
It was hella funny, though, because I was watching a YouTube video earlier, and then this guy was talking about like people hating on other people, right? Like when you go on like social media and then like you start hating on people, and then this guy was just like, if you're hating on people, you're just a little bitch. It was just like,
in reality, it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, why do you want to exert that energy, that negativity?
And honestly, though, it's like, even if you do the same thing, it's like you still have your own, unless like you're obviously like it's not a total copy, but like
right. It's like the authenticity behind the idea. More than originality, it's more about being authentic, right?
Yeah, because what we said in the podcast, like all the good shit that we just said, that's already been said before,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a new idea.
I mean, think of how many podcasts are there, people?
There's
look at the shoes.
There's like
he's wearing shoes. I'm wearing shoes. They're not the same brand. You got Nike. You got Vans.
There's thousands of podcasts out there talking about the same shit, but then like people listen to like you to us,
right?
Because like we say it in a certain way, right. Like because like sometimes they can be a little bit sarcastic or just like be direct, and some people resonate with that, and then some people are just like, damn, this guy's a douchebag. But
it's like you just gotta find your people. You know what I mean?
That's what it is,
At the end of the day, even though Reno's small, there's a lot of people here. So we can all win if we really wanted to, and of course, you always want to try and be better, in that competitive aspect, but still respect everybody and their hustle and what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's all about respect. You can still try to be number one and still be respectful and still be supportive, and not be an asshole. Like, which I read this quote, and I think I've talked about it on most podcasts, but it says less ego, more soul. And so I think in one of my early posts for the Masterpiece Studio, I was like, leave your ego at the door. I don't want that in this place. I don't need that kind of energy, because when you come in here, we're all on the same level.
Yeah, because like you can tell too.
Even if you're, maybe if you're like super popular, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you've done it.
But then even then,
community-wise, it's like I would hope that somebody from that level will understand what it's like to be in this spot, to be the underdog, right? Trying to work themselves up there and, losing sleep over it and crying and all those, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
All I ask for, and I hope a lot of other businesses think the same way, or a lot of other creatives. It's about support. That's how we survive.
Because honestly, like, being a creative, it's already hard enough,
Yeah, it is.
Like, without people hating on you, that's already hard enough. But, like,
I don't even think we've hit that level, thankfully.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to come. And Neon Babylon has had a little shade, a little bit. But I'm like, it's so unfortunate to even think that that's something you're going to have to go through.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. That should be another topic to talk about, like the freaking trolls on the internet.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trolls out there. Shit. It was hella funny because like I recently got a comment on my YouTube video too, maybe like a couple of weeks ago. Like in one of my cover songs, it was actually the Beyonce one, the one I did on the other studio.
Oh, on the other studio.
Yeah, the guy commented like, "Your voice is horrible." I was just like, honestly, I was kind of like, I wasn't even shocked. I was just kind of laughing at it. I was like, really?
Well, it's funny.
It didn't really affect me too much because like, he's just trolling, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like, some people is probably going to hate my voice. It doesn't matter. But then it's like, if you take the like 30 seconds to write that comment, you know, it's like,
yeah.
how sad is your life?
So it's funny because Anthony, so when he's had his little bit of trolling, he's like, oh, I've made it. Like, I'm at that point now where people want to talk shit. And we actually it was funny. We're trying to do a live. See, look, us 30-year-olds trying to do a live. I don't know what it was for. I'd forgotten already. And somebody on his page was like, where the fuck is my shit? They ordered stuff. I don't care. I don't know who it was, but I'm going to talk about it because to me, like, all you want at that point is attention. And it is so petty. And you should be embarrassed for doing that shit on the internet. Like, for what? All you had to do was write a message or an email.
Yeah.
You know, businesses screw up, and it's not something to be proud of. Like, I'm very big about quality. So I'm like, once something happens once, I'm like, oh, this is never happening again. Like, we're going to fix this shit because, you know, my 9 to 5, I work in that environment. But it's like, bro, you don't know who you're talking to, for one. And two, it's like, do you really want to have that relationship from here on out?
Yeah.
Making those type of comments or doing something on a live platform to what? To get some people to be like, oh,
yeah,
you think you're cool now? Like, no, I don't play that. And that's the other thing, too. It's like, we're not that young either. So I don't expect you to respect us. Actually, no, I kind of do. I mean, at least respect the space when you come here. You know, and from that moment on, we can decide whether that'll continue. But
I mean, I feel like you should always expect respect, though.
But it's like, don't be disrespectful. Don't be rude. Like, you don't know what that person is going through or what they're going to become or what we're going to become for you to create that type of relationship. And now we have that immediate perspective of you from that point on.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day,
don't be that person.
Just don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. Maybe that'll be the next topic.
Don't be a bitch.
Don't be an asshole bitch. But sorry, I think my dad's been dabbling in social media. Like, he told me today, he's like, hey, so I saw on your Facebook that you have an event this Friday.
Is he gonna show up?
But I say that to say that he's probably gonna watch this podcast. So excuse my language, father.
You're an adult, Felicia.
You know, so we're going to have to swallow that pill at some point.
You passed your 18-year-old way long ago.
I know. Jeez. I'm not that old. I'm not old.
But yeah. I think we covered
that's
pretty solid topic. It was just like update of what we've been up to, introducing you as the new co-host.
I'm excited.
Since we're sharing a space.
To talk too. I don't think people realize that. It's funny because a lot of people have this impression of me that I'm like super shy. And sometimes I am. I'm a little bit reserved, you know, and that's just because of a lot of the shit I've dealt with. But when you get to know me, I'm like,
yeah.
Let me chat it up. Talk to me. Someone talk to me.
Talk to her, please.
Put me on a podcast. Somebody, please.
And then we're going to have some guests in here soon, too.
Yeah. If you think you want to be a guest, check it at Masterpiece Studio.
Yeah. Honestly, if you feel like...
Send in your 2-minute clip. Introduce.
It's like an audition. Honestly, if you feel like you have something to share, something insightful, just... hit us up. We're always down to talk to new people, meet new people too, you know?
That'd be cool.
Because, like, we don't want to be the only ones to, like...
I know. You're going to get...
schooling you guys.
We have so much knowledge. Maybe we need the knowledge. That's why you need to be on the show.
Yeah.
But I think you can, on your YouTube, you can tag, or in the little details, you can put down, the Instagrams, maybe.
Yeah, on the description.
Also self-promoting the studio and maybe another podcast.
How about the plants
we can
are
talk
all
about
right?
The planters. Yes, I will probably try to set some stuff up of my planters.
Yeah, she also sells planters. If you're
The plants are all right.
If you're
if you're into that, Neon Babylon, and also something else is coming up.
Felicia got something else cooking up, so I'm sure she'll be shamelessly plugging that one too.
And gotta do it, man. I'm trying to make this my life.
Did I ever ask you because we had this little segment in the podcast. I don't know if I asked you that on the first time you were in the podcast about. I think we had 2 questions. The guilty pleasure. Did I ask you that last time? No. Oh man, we didn't do it right last time. But we normally ask the guest 2 questions, I think. Damn, it's been so long that I don't remember. Oh yeah, 2 questions. But this usually is in the beginning, but since I forgot, I'll just ask you now. Since we're about to end this podcast. 2 questions. First question is, share a guilty pleasure. What's your guilty pleasure?
What's your guilty pleasure? What's an example?
I don't have any guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty about my pleasures. Guilty pleasure. Like an example, or just like
what is?
Some people like to listen to I don't know. I'm not ashamed to admit that I enjoy listening to Britney Spears music.
That's a guilty pressure. That's a guilty pressure.
I mean, it's guilty pleasure for a lot of people because they don't want to admit that, Something like that you really enjoy, but then you're kind of somewhat ashamed to admit.
I love eating, and because I'm trying to get away from carbs, but I love eating mashed potatoes with soy sauce and ranch.
Oh God, that sounds terrible.
Oh, it's so good.
Soy sauce and ranch.
Oh,
those 2 combo.
A huge bowl of mashed potatoes.
Soy sauce?
Mashed potato, like my comfort food. I don't know. Maybe the soy sauce coming from my Asian side. Who knows? But soy sauce
and ranch.
Damn, if I wasn't trying to drop weight right now, I'd go home and eat some. Mashed potatoes with soy sauce and ranch. That is for sure a guilty pleasure.
I'm not gonna knock that because I've never tried it. I'm gonna have to try it and then I'll tell you. If
we'll have a dinner movie night thing.
Just give me a small piece
with the. So good though.
That just sounds so weird.
Mashed potatoes,
soy sauce,
and ranch.
But then I don't know. I mean,
love it.
I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Love that shit.
I mean, I guess that could be a guilty pleasure.
I think so because it's kind of like a comfort too.
Yeah. So the second question is,
I don't know, maybe it's not a guilty pleasure. I don't know.
What's your recent obsession? Just the past month or so, what have you been really maybe a show or a song that's on repeat or anything that you're kind of really obsessed about in the last month or so?
Oh God, this is horrible because now I forgot the name of the damn song, but it's a Lil Nas song.
Is it the Old Town Road or whatever?
My son Keelan loves that song. I gotta look at it. Sorry, I'm on my phone. Rude, Mom. I was listening to it actually. Here we go.
You can't be obsessed with it if you forgot it.
What? If anybody knows me, like my husband, and he'll get so pissed off with me, is that I will know the lyrics to a song, but I couldn't tell you who it is or what the name of the song is. But Montero by Lil Nas X.
Okay.
Oh, I've
never heard of it.
Even the video, I fucking love it.
Haven't heard it yet.
And I'd be listening to it all the time, jamming. I think because too, when it came out, it might have caused a lot of controversy. The devil's in it, so everyone's like, "Oh God!"
Oh, is that the one that everybody kind of
love that shit.
Okay,
I love it, stuff like that.
Huh?
But in regards to obsessing over shows, I am an Office person, so catch me watching The Office over and over again, unless it's Marvel, because Marvel on Disney Plus is killing it with all their little shows. Like WandaVision was good, but the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I haven't gotten into that yet. So I like to binge watch. So like, I'm just gonna.
It's all on. They're short. It's all on there.
Oh, is it done?
You watch the full
Is the series
thing.
done?
The series is done. It's done.
Oh.
Last week, and that last episode.
Okay, maybe it's time for me to go watch that then.
Yeah, so if it's not The Office, it's Marvel right now. They kill it.
Yeah.
They never miss.
For me, the song that's on repeat at the moment has to be Leave the Door Open.
I was going to say, I know it's Bruno Mars. It's a good song, though.
I mean, it's a great song. It's like so different, you know? I mean, like, it's different because it's today, but like, that's basically how music sounded way back when, you know? But yeah, because that song's just great.
It is great.
Yeah. It's so catchy. And then it's kind of like, it has like the anthem, kind of like, the verse, you know, like you kind of just sing and like the little answer, like the sing and then the answer.
Yeah, you said you want to make a song like that.
That'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool.
But
look forward to it.
Yeah, and been making new music too. Been trying out a lot of different genres. So far it's been fun.
Nice.
But yeah,
you working?
I think that's it for the 48th.
For the 48th episode, the first one in Masterpiece Studio with moi.
With Felicia. And how didn't we end the podcast? Did we just end it and like bye?
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Catch you on the flippy flip. Flippy flip.
It's flippity flip.
Flippity flip.
Man, if you're an Office lover, you should know where that comes from.
Yeah. Not that cool.
It's cool.
But anyways, that's it for the podcast.
Does this have its own Instagram?
Yes, it does have an own Instagram.
There you go. Okay, anyways.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys
on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.